Today, we're going to be talking about the best plastic worms for bass. Stay tuned. Now, the best plastic worms you can possibly find for bass are generally ones that are going to replicate an actual live worm. Many people don't think about this when they do their soft plastic fishing. What are you actually trying to mimic, to replicate? You have to think like a fish. If it doesn't look like the bait that they're looking for, in the area that they're looking for, they're not going to bite. If they're brown worms in a certain area, and a green or a purple one shows up, maybe you might get a reaction bite, but more likely they're going to question what this is. And you've seen a bass, I know I have, literally look at a bait right up close, maybe even pick it up a little bit with his lips and be like, nah man, that ain't happening, and roll right out of view. And you're like, what just happened? What did I do wrong? I put it right in his face. This sucks. What do I do about it? Well, let me tell you. This is what this video is going to be about what is the best worm, plastic worm, for bass. So let's get into it. One of the most important things is the type of worm that you get. More specifically, it's about the way it's shaped, the texture, and the way the tail is made. Now, you've seen tails that are flat, they're flattened, they're round, they have wavy ones, they have tiny wavy ones, they have long wavy ones, they have really big hook ones. It goes far and wide. So let me show you one of those right now. This is a really old bag. One is just some power baits, which I really love. And we have a fluke in here too, but there it is. As you can see, it has this is an old school one with the ribs here. And also it has a sort of hook that has been curled so that when it flattens out, it makes a very spiral motion. This is the same motion if you've ever thrown away a worm because your day of fishing was over and you're like, I'm done with this worm. What do I do with it? Do I put it back? Do I throw it away? I already hooked it, it's probably gonna die. I don't want that stinky thing up in my worm container. So you throw it in the water and you see it like balled up into a little circle and it wiggles around kind of like this and it's swirling. And that's the same type of action that this tail makes. Also, there is another power bait. This one's extra long, but a flattened tail one. A lot of the worms around here in the Northeast, you'll notice that they have flattened tails. It's this particular type of worm. I've learned that there are literally hundreds of types of worms, shapes, different ribs, and people like to really get in depth with their forage because apparently the bass is better adept at telling a shad from a minnow from a golden shiner. But for worms, people don't really think too deeply about it, except for pros. But each worm has its own characteristics. And if you go to a worm shop and they get local worms, most don't, you'll notice that they look different than what you have in your local area. If you're able to gain that knowledge for your lake or your state or wherever you are, that might be a little bit of a tip that you get that puts you ahead of everybody else in that local tournament. That's one of the ones. This one it looks like the same tail, but it's actually a little different. It's brand new, I haven't opened it up. And I'm gonna keep it sealed until I need it. And I also have a zoom lure, which also has a semi kind of flattened tail, but it's different. This is a peculiar one. I don't know if you can see, but look at it right here. You'll see that the bottom is flat. It's not circular all the way around. I think it's supposed to mimic a worm that's more likely to be on the surface and actually crawling around. I'm not sure this is really an advantage for anything, but if somehow you can hook it through the bottom, then you can easily have it drag the bottom of the body of water that you're fishing on and not have it roll over. So the fish always gets the hook side up and it isn't sideways and you're like hooking them on the side of the mouth or upside down. It's more of a feature for us fishermen than for the fish themselves. Now, colors are a big thing as well. A very, very big thing. I just mentioned this earlier because, hey, there's a red one. Red speckle. Red and watermelon. And this is why it's good to know about what worms are in your area and what they look like and what, you know, the ridges, the texture, the way the tail is shaped, and the color and the size that they can get. Big fat ones, you got short ones, but generally a bass is an opportunity seeker, just like every other fish. And if it sees a juicy meal that's easy to catch, it's probably going to eat it. But we know we still have to match the hatch. That's a forage thing. But the same thing for a worm, same thing. So when you go looking for what's the best worm color, which I have a blog post and video about, you can do a search through my YouTube channel or go to my blog post at fishingnetwork.com and find that. And you'll discover that some of the best colors are watermelon, black, brown, and green. Now, if you've dug through the dirt as a kid or you've bought worms to go fishing with, you'll know that most of them are in this general area. You haven't seen a black one before, and maybe not a completely green one, but they are greenish, they are brownish, they are sometimes even reddish. That's what the watermelon and the red is about, but that's in certain areas of the country. Now the black one is really something that has to do with a worm hiding in a shadow, or it is a shadow, and a fish sees a silhouette of a worm falling from above, and the sun's behind it, and it looks, there's like a dark shadow coming down that's shaped like a worm or an eel if they're near a tidal inlet. So sometimes black will trick them enough because they can't figure it out. You don't want them to have to even think about what color is that. Is it the right texture? Forget about it. It's a black worm looking thing. Eat, don't think. So that's why the black color is good. I thought I had that somewhere around here. It might be in my other tackle box, but that's not necessary to talk about right now. But let's look at a couple. So, this is called motor oil. Obviously, it's brownish. This is called green pumpkin. I don't really see it. I see the pumpkin seed. Pumpkin seed is very popular. But it looks like a worm, doesn't it? This is one that's more along the red line. I don't even know the color of this. Oh, yeah. Sorry. This is a pumpkin black. And this is the watermelon red. Ah, yes, here's my black one. Just didn't see it down there. Jet black. This looks like a little shadow coming down here. You're like, what? I'm just gonna let it drop in my mouth because why not? Also, there's I really doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on the watermelon color. This is watermelon seed, as you can see here through the light. It's a greenish color. The black specks in it gives you a little bit of mystery, but also the general color of a worm. And I've caught plenty of bass from that watermelon seed. If you're wondering, this is the Zoom original trick worm, and it's capable of tricking, but not as good as something else. We'll talk about that in a minute. Now, scents. Yes, scents. Scents have been used really early on. Back in the 90s when I was growing up, I was in middle school and high school, And just adding scents to soft plastics was the big thing. It was like the, what's that thing? The banjo minnow. Never actually used it, but it's just like any other infomercial. Does it really work that well? You know what? I'll just stick to my worms. But scents were coming in all kinds of ways. They were being like just flooded into bags, actually like water splashing around on the worms. They had the spray bottles. They had the aerosol cans of different smells. You could buy it in like little bottles and stuff, and just dip your worm into it, just like you would with paint if you want to add like a red tip to your crankbait or something else to make it look like it's hurt. But one of the best ways I've seen it is internally infused into the soft plastic. And the people that are best at that are Berkeley. Now, they do have the power bait, which is an original formula. This is the same thing I used back in the day. The fish hold on longer, 18 times longer. Now, they have this little graph here. It tells you like how much better it is in the competition, or just like the baseline, which is, no scent at all. And I have a little story to tell. When I was, it was like the 10th or so time I went fishing at work over in the Charles River in Boston, and I was Texas rigging, actually, yeah, it was a power bait, a regular one, and I dropped it right next to a fallen log with the branches coming out the side. So I was like, oh, more likely I'm gonna get hung and get very angry and, be done for the day. And I dropped it like, it couldn't be any more perfect, right at the trunk of the tree, and I dragged it over one stick, and it dropped down, and then I never felt the bottom. I never felt the rocks that were supposed to be down there, and I was like, what's going on? And a good 5 seconds went by, and I, like, maybe I should reel in a little bit, and then I looked at the water, and the line just went like this. Straight to the right. I was like, whoa, and I reeled in the slack and jerked back, and oh man, when I felt the weight that was on the line, I was like, yes, this is it. And I fought that puppy for about, I don't know, it was about a minute. He was really up in that stuff. And I got him out and I pulled him on shore, and by then people started to gather around me, because this is where all the runners and joggers are. And lo and behold, 3+ pound bass, big. I have a picture of it on a website somewhere. I also have it on the free giveaway. You can find the How to Catch More and Bigger Bass PDF, which you can go to the website, fishingnetwork.com, and get that for free. All you have to do is subscribe to my channel so you can get more helpful information through email. You can actually see that back. It's holding it like this, and it has the Berkeley power worm on the side of its mouth and a hook embedded right into it was on the side. That was a good time. But the whole key of that story was the fact that I almost didn't hook it for about 10 seconds. So when they say 18 times longer in the back, let's look at it again. It says they can hold on to 18 seconds, because a regular scented will only last for 3 seconds of hold time, and unscented lasts for a second. Now, if it was 1 or 3, i.e. a regular or a unscented one, I would have lost that fish. She would have figured out, this is tasteless, it feels like crap, I can't chew it, it's not going down my throat right, so I'm gonna spit it out. But because it was power bait and it was tasting real good, he just decided to go for a little jog down the river, and he still had it in his mouth. And when I went to set that hook, he was still there. And so at least 10 seconds of that 18 seconds for me personally is true. Now, here's something else that's really funny, not to do with bass, is the fact that I actually cut little pieces of this up, and I put them on a little snell hook, and I was catching bluegills with it. The bluegills won't let go. It's not even a real worm. Those things will bite anything that has the remoteness of food. And they refuse to let go of this. Refused. So I'm a true believer in that. But how do the other things work? The spray bottles do work, but it's a surface level scent. And that means after, I don't know, it gotta be less than 5-10 minutes. I remember using it back in the 90s. The fish were not attracted anymore. The water had to run off because most of the time, they started off making those being oil-based, and it just separated into the water. You could see it floating on top of the water. It didn't seem right. So later on, I don't know, 5 years or so later, they went to a water-based one, but it's water-based. It does stick a little better to the worm and a little longer, maybe 20 minutes, but eventually it comes off. So that's not great. This is the reason why I like the infused flavor of the Berkeley baits. There are some other companies that do that, and they may or may not do it well, but I've tried a lot of them, and I'm still going back to my power bait. It's tried and true, and for me, that's what I like. Now, we've talked about all this cool stuff. Now, what about the techniques? How do you use these things? Why does it make it the best? Is it just because it has all these, you have to know exactly the type of worm that is in your area? No, different things work. They do work. A fish can be tricked. That's why we have fun, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't be very fun if we couldn't trick a fish and went fishing and caught nothing. That's not fun. So the techniques, you probably heard many of them. Texas rig, Carolina rig, drop shot, wacky, weightless, Ned rig. The list goes on and on. And, you know, you can use them as attachments to other things, as like trailers on a jig or a spinnerbait or a buzzbait. It really doesn't matter. It's just use what you like to do. So now that we've talked about all this stuff, what is the best plastic worm for bass? You probably know what I'm going to say, don't you? Let me remind you. It's the Berkeley Power Bait. It has taken me from a non-believer in worms that are not real, even when I was younger, to one right now. When I need to catch a bass, this is the first thing I pull out, specifically. Now, if I want to catch every fish, you also might know what that is if you've been watching my videos on YouTube. And that's that little green grub. And also the white one too. Depends on what you want to catch. I have a lot of everything else. Everything pretty much bites the green one. But if you want to catch a crappie or a bass, more specifically, you move to a white curly tail grub. But guess what? That just looks like a smaller version of a worm. Same tail, same body, just shorter and on a spinner. But oh man, these things are great. They are absolutely great. They come in all different kind of shapes, all different actions, all different textures, and you still have this patented flavor that makes fish hold on 18 times later per their requirements. But for me, it's at least 10. It's at least 10 times. 10 full seconds of hold time. I personally saw it, experienced it, and will continue to experience it because I will continue to be a Berkeley Power Worm customer. So consider that if it isn't already in your tackle box, because I don't see how it can't be. Now, what's number 2? I was a little off in this, but man, if you are, hip to the game and know what's up right now, man, there ain't nothing better than using a Ned rig with a nice Yamasinko, a Gary Yamato Yamasinko. This is so good. There are many different types of this. You can get a Ned rig bait from just about anybody these days. They're the new hotness. Like you can use like a Z-Man. That's a very popular one. I'm not gonna open this up. You can see it right here. They're circular, they're round. It has the little thing on the middle that looks just like a worm. They have tight ribs on them. You can cut them, you can shorten them, depending on what size fish you're after. Like, are we going for the big bass? Are we going for the smaller bass? or you're trying to get them when they're lethargic, like right now, they're cold, they're deep, you can put them on a net rig, which is just basically just a jig. I could give you a quick example. Yeah. Usually it's just a little ball and you glue it to the top, and it's not, the hook's not this big, but basically you're just putting that worm on there. You can shorten it, you can make it long, you can add some color to it, you can dip it in there, you can add some scents, you can add some sounds with the rattles, anything you want. But it's more or less you cast it out and you do a pattern that works for you. Everybody has their thing, but it works a lot better than I ever would have thought. I would never really thought about hooking a worm on a jig head. I did it for, I don't know how long, for striped bass. You use a gigantic 6-inch, not, is it 6 inches? I'd say about an 8 to 12 inch white worm, about like that thick around. And it mimics a very large bait fish. That's what it does. And every winter they come down to Virginia, right, where I grew up, and we hit those bad boys from sundown all the way to midnight until my mama called me to say, "Where are you?" But when the fish are biting, it's hard to leave, man. It's hard to leave. I know you've had that situation, and if you haven't, you get out there, man. You need to fish more often. And if you need help, you can go to my website, fishnetwork.com, and at the very top, you'll see a link to get help on how to go fishing more often. And that system I've created is called the Everyday Fishing System. Now, I've just moved it from a PDF form that links over to my videos on YouTube that I have private, but I don't like that system. It's not secure, and anything can go wrong, and I can't trust YouTube all the time because my videos may go down or whatever. So now I've moved over to a actual, they call it a learning system, where you log on and the videos are all there, they're all numbered, they're categorized. If you leave and come back, it starts you off from where you were, and all the other, like little courses and systems or whatever else you want to make will all be there, and you'll have access to them forever. And I control that 100%. So that's better for everybody, because you can't trust other people with your stuff, or you can't rely on them anyway, because I don't want my stuff to go down. I don't want to disappear. So yeah, super cool. Net rig. Net rig's awesome. Now you can go to certain people's websites. Now, one person I promote, if you want to learn more about Ned rig fishing, is Brian Latimer. He's known as B-Lat. He was a professional FLW tour fisherman. He has a nice website and a YouTube page where it shows him like super happy with holding this $100,000 check he won on his, I think it was his second win in the tournament. But he had a big like 10-year gap between it, and he was super happy, super awesome, super cool guy. And he's a really good fisherman, but now he's moved over to bass. He's trying to make it to that Bassmaster Classic, and it's gonna be tough, but he's gonna be putting in the work. And his dad used to be a professional fisherman too, so man, South Carolina, there's some good fishing down there, and good weather. It's not freezing, so he used to fish more often than me, so I ain't getting that kind of practice, but I'm not trying to be a professional. I just want to go fishing and have fun. That may be you. You don't need to be a professional to have fun. So don't get, pulled into all the different directions. Gotta have this, gotta have that, gotta learn this, gotta learn that. Calm down and just go fishing. Simple. So, Brian Latimer, you know how to spell Brian with the B-R-I-A-N. And Latimer, L-A-T-I-M-E-R. I will try to put a link up above, but the last time I tried to link to a YouTube channel, it just broke, but it might be up here. So look up there. Hopefully I remember to put it up there. So that's basically it for this video about the best plastic worms for bass. If you have any suggestions, please comment down below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and do all the socials. It's all good. Go to the website, and if you're interested in any of the freebies, like the How to Catch More and Bigger Bass PDF, just put in your email address, and it'll be sent directly to your email. And if you're wondering about how you can go fishing more often, you can get the Everyday Fishing System right now from that link on the homepage. Go there now. And I believe I'll switch it over very soon, that link, to the actual learning thing. And if you do get the PDF, which if you're really quick watching the video, you will, just send me an email. Dwight, I got the PDF version that goes to YouTube, but I want this learning system you talked about. Just email me and I'll add you immediately to that, and you'll have instant access. So that's the deal. I'll see you when I see you.